Alright, what's going on everybody? So as promised, we are here with chapter 336 spoilers, which just dropped literally a couple of minutes ago. We got some big and juicy stuff to get into today, so let's get right into it. The chapter title is Villain, which is very telling of what we're going to get into in this chapter, but the chapter begins with Deku and Bakugou training together. Bakugou says that the cluster ability is based on the principle that he learned from Endeavor, the one about concentrating and releasing energy. He reduces multiple spheres of sweat and explodes them simultaneously, which is why he's wearing his winter costume to increase sweat production. And man, can we just take a moment to just appreciate how good of a character Bakugou actually is? Like, look at Bakugou, man. So inspirational. Nevertheless, I'll be the first one to admit that Bakugou definitely needs to get a lot stronger by the time the battle with Shigaraki comes up, because Cluster and all his other techniques might not be enough to actually hurt Shigaraki, but that's more of a Deku versus Shigaraki fight anyway, so I'm not gonna get too bent out of shape about it. Anyways, we can also see that Todoroki is training and he's trying to get better at using both halves of his quirk. Kaminari is also talking to Mineta in this scene, saying that two enemy generals are weakened at this point. Also, Gigantomachia is sleeping at the moment and is imprisoned, so the chances of victory for them are even greater than they were before. We see a metal structure being built supposedly in the place where they're holding Machia, and honestly this just has me hoping that they can control Machia at this point, because if we have another Jakku situation, then things are gonna get wicked. Although a small portion of me is hoping that he's a part of the final battle as well. Bakugou says that the classmates' way of thinking is too optimistic and that he has 3 points to prove how difficult this fight will actually be. First, they are unlikely to even find All For One, because until today, even when they found the Nomu's labs or Shigaraki's hideout, All For One was never there. Besides, he hid for several years before that, and this was before fighting All Might for the first time. Second is that Shigaraki was already weakened in the last battle, and even though he put all that effort in, to think that it would be an easy fight now would be very naive, especially because the hero's numbers are reduced. And third, the villains must already have plans and are waiting for the heroes to strike at any moment. Even supposing that the Search quirk was destroyed in the fight against Star and Stripe, they must have a plan B. The best thing to do now is to prepare for their attack. This is 100% true, especially that last point about having a plan B on the villain side. I mean, think back to last chapter when All For One and Dabi were talking about the differences between each other. All For One definitely has multiple routes for a certain goal. This one in particular, he's probably been coming up with different schemes and different ideas for pretty much every scenario that he could run into. Deku says that he still wants to go out and search for them, but Ida chops him over the head, telling him not to think of me, but us. They also say that they can move around more freely because Uraraka's speech has brought the students closer together with the civilians. The conclusion that Kaminari came to is that no matter what they do, move or wait, All For One is sure to be laughing at them. We then see Hagakure hiding in the forest, saying that a certain someone is quite depressed since the end of the war. She watches 3 people talking in the distance. One of them says that the other has to obey because he is back giving orders. They say he just needs to keep doing what he's doing because the signs are disguised as everyday actions and are impossible to trace. Hagakure then thinks that even after Midoriya came back, this person didn't smile once. She was worried and then went after him, but that's when she found out Aoyama is the traitor. His parents are telling him that he needs to keep obeying All For One or else they will be killed. Oof, wow, All For One's going after the cheese boy now. She says that he's already obeyed AFO's request as soon as the school year started, and then informed them of the location of the training camp without anyone finding out. Aoyama cries and tries to oppose to them, but his parents quickly say that they aren't the ones doing it because they don't like it either. But it is too late, to go against AFO at least. Hagakure is listening in on everything and can't believe what she's hearing. She thinks back to the villain's attack on the USJ and in the forest. Aoyama's mother says that they only wanted their son to be happy, and we see a small flashback. She asks, "Do you want to be like everyone else, Yuga?" And he replies, "Yes, because being the only one different is scary." Aoyama was born without a quirk, so his parents ask All For One to grant him one, so that he could chase his dreams. So now all this kind of comes full circle, because I remember in the beginning of the story when we were first introduced to Yuga Aoyama, Naval Laser actually hurts his stomach because his body isn't used to his quirk, because it's not actually his, and that's just insane to me. But it's just up All For One's alley. You see, Yuga's parents' intentions were pure in heart, but now it's just kind of turned against them and has affected the lives of pretty much everyone in the class. Hagakure realizes that she needs to warn a teacher, but she sees someone approaching. Aoyama still cries, saying that he suffered all this time. He dedicated himself to this role so as to not arouse suspicion and not to be consumed by guilt. When All For One was finally arrested in Camino, he thought he could finally live in peace with his friends, but he was all wrong. His parents apologized, and Aoyama says that he did it all to protect them because he didn't want them to be killed. They then ask him to continue to protect them, but it's at this moment where Deku arrives, bought by Hagakure. And man, what a twist this is. I actually am pretty happy with how the whole UA trader subplot was handled, and even though we're not through the chapter just yet, I'm liking where this is going. He says that he heard everything from Hagakure, something about there being a traitor, and he asks if it was true, but the parents try to play dumb. Aoyama cries non-stop while looking at Midoriya. He blames himself for being the only one who didn't say anything to him during the rescue, and we see a panel showing his reaction to the letter Deku left when he left UA. Midoriya said that he had gone into the forest to look for him because he realized that something was wrong. Aoyama was the only one who remained pretty much sad all this time. It is at this point that he breaks and starts talking about the leaked location of the camp and the USJ. He says, "I am a disgusting villain, Midoriya." The last panel is a flashback of the cheese that he left on Deku's balcony during that one chapter, which spelled, "I know everything." So I guess we had it all wrong after all. I mean, Hagakure actually did a pretty good thing in not going to spill the beans to literally everybody, but she brought Deku to the situation because I could imagine that she couldn't think of anybody else really to go to. And to be honest, I feel like he was the best option other than like a teacher or something like that. Because while I hate to admit it, Deku's a pretty good guy when it comes to dealing with stuff like this, or with any real big issue for that matter. So I think his level head will definitely help. And I guess we'll see that in the next chapter because that was the end. So guys, I hope you did enjoy. If you want more content similar to this, hit that subscribe button and I'll see you guys in the next one. Sub up, stay safe, and peace.